Hello and welcome to your Mining Disrupt News Surge for Monday, March 25th, 2024. I've got a little over a half dozen stories to share with you, spread over 13 different tabs that I've got opened up right over there. Before we get into that, please remember everything that you see here, at least from me, is not financial advice. It is for education and entertainment purposes only. If you'd like to partner with us as a sponsor, please reach out. You can get your tickets to Mining Disrupt 2024, scan that QR code right down there, happening in Miami, Florida, June 24th through the 26th. We're going to whiz bang, 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 bang right through this one today. Let's get into the numbers. The current Bitcoin price is $65,687, meaning your $1 US will get you 1,522 sats. We are under 4,000 blocks to the halving, currently scheduled for April 20th at 6:43 a.m. The next difficulty adjustment is going to be an upward tick of 0.36%, meaning that we are just 2 seconds under that 10-minute target time. Starting things off with our news, we've got a meme from ShireHODL. It's the classic Anakin and Padme. Anakin says, "You need Bitcoin. It's the best store of value." I know that's not what he sounds like, but whatever. Are you sure? Yes, it's the best store of value. What's a store of value, and why do I need one? That's a good question, Padme. What is value and how do you store it? Well, I think of time as value. Most people that I've interacted with and had any sort of in-depth conversation with about this kind of thing would agree that they value their time. They trade that time for work. They go to work, they do some tasks, and usually they get paid for that. They're trading their time for money, which they can then go and buy the things that they need and want in life. They can pay for their rent, they can get food, etc., etc. But money, as we currently have it, is not a great store value. Certain things store value better than others. Your home might store it pretty well. Gold has done a pretty decent job over the last few 100,000 years. But right now, the best way to store your value, to transmute in an alchemical, weird digital way your time, your value, into something that can hold it, is Bitcoin. And that is the answer to Padme's question. This one is a bit of drama that happened between MadeX, Spaceball. He does a bunch of different interesting pieces of art. Some of his stuff I really like, other things I'm kind of meh on. David Bailey, he's got something to do with Bitcoin Magazine. I don't know exactly what his role is, but he said, "Love this piece. Do you post all your artwork on your shop?" And the long and short of this is that MadeX said, "I'll sell you a JPEG for 1 Bitcoin." David Bailey said, "Okay, sure, I slept on it. Let's do that." And then MadeX came out with this pretty boss video saying, "My work is not going to be digitized and I'm not going to sell that to you. As much as 1 Bitcoin would help me out, I'm not going to do that, so that you can spin it around and resell it to some other rube and rug pull them." And Bitcoin Magazine has gotten into a bit of hot water over this whole thing. Matthew Crater here of Bitcoin University says, "Not to purity test too hard, but according to BM, Bitcoin Magazine, financial disclosures, you own ETH." And then right here, we've got Francis Poulut, Francis bullbitcoin.com, I believe it's an exchange up in Canada, says, "I didn't realize until just now Bitcoin Magazine was actually running an Ordinals OTC over-the-counter desk, which lets you buy and sell inscriptions and rare sats." Right here, rare.b.tc. UTXO, OTC desk, rare Bitcoin collectibles. And then this is something that multiple people have pointed to. This Karma is the largest fungible token airdrop in Bitcoin history. It screams, this Karma thing just screams shitcoinery. If you want to gamble, that's your money. It's your prerogative. You can go to the casino. You can put money down on March Madness brackets. You can do whatever you want with your money. And I can hear the argument, and this is the one place that I kind of struggle with, that it's a part of Bitcoin, whether you like it or not. Ordinals are a part of Bitcoin. And as a publication, as a place that talks about things related to Bitcoin, they're going to mention things that you might not like. An example that I can think of, this is a little bit out there, but let's say you have a transportation magazine. Should you be covering stories on child trafficking? And, look for these bins, because these containers, because they're the ones where you're going to find the kids strapped inside. And these are the ones where women are often found. It's these marked with these things. Is that a good thing to be covering and going into how the child trafficking moves around? Is that a good use of your time, bringing more attention to it? You could say, well, yeah, because then maybe more people would be aware of it, and then they'd be able to spot these containers and point them out to the authorities. Maybe, possibly, but you might also be informing the people that are doing the horrible acts how to cover their tracks. I think you get my point. And I am of the opinion that Bitcoin Magazine, if they are true Bitcoiners through and through, they should not be touching any of this other crap at all. Continuing down the drama side of things, we had Greenpeace just doubling down on absolute stupidity. Greenpeace USA just released an explosive new report exposing blah, 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 and then they got community noted out the wazoo here. Greenpeace USA was paid $5 million by the creator of Ripple to attack Bitcoin. Here's the post from Greenpeace. Greenpeace USA just released an explosive new report exposing the deep ties between the fossil fuel industry, right-wing climate deniers, and the growing lobbying network pushing a plan to save dirty coal and gas plants with Bitcoin. Read now. And then here's the note saying, this is absolute gobbledygook. You guys are complete fucking idiots. Changing gears a little bit, we're going to jump over to a chart here, and a lot of charts that I look at, some people look at them and they go, oh, they understand everything. But most of the charts that I look at that people share on Bitcoin go completely over my head. I have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. This one here is by way of Brady Swinson at Citizen Bitcoin. He says the FIST system, it's supposed to be fiat. I think it was late at night there. Well, okay, 7:23, whatever. The FIST system, fiat system, is so effing rigged. And here you've got two lines. The red line here is net worth held by the top 0.1%, 99.9th to 100th wealth percentile. That's the red line. The green line that follows that red line almost perfectly, oddly enough, is the M2. What is M2? M2 is the U.S. Federal Reserve's estimate of the total money supply, including all the cash people have on hand, plus all the money deposited into checking accounts, saving accounts, and other short-term savings vehicles such as certificates of deposit CDs. It's all the money. When a new stimulus package gets passed, adds to M2. When new bills get passed, adds to M2. When more money is printed and pumped into the system, that adds to M2. And who is benefiting the most from this? Well, according to this, it sure looks like the highest paid people in the country are benefiting the most. They're the closest to the money spigot. This is what we have been talking about, people in the Bitcoin space, for years. This is the problem with money. And you, everybody else down here, not really benefiting at all. Oh, it's trickle down. You'll get some of that. Yeah, kind of. A little bit, but nowhere near as much of the people that have their helicopter pads off in the Hamptons and they're driving their yachts and their Rolls Royces and blah, blah, blah. They're the ones that are right there. And speaking of that, this one blew my freaking mind. Part of that bill that just got passed, the 1.2 trillion, I was about to say billion, I'm sorry, no, $1 trillion bill, Senator John Fetterman, Mr. Stroke right here, to get $368,000 to fund Built by Us podcast in the new bill. So that's part of that. That was part of the pork, part of a little earmark thing. Oh, and by the way, this guy that can't barely put 3 words together without sounding like an absolute goon is going to be up there on a podcast built by us. And he needs nearly $500,000 to do this. Is it possible? Is it crazy of me to think that Mr. John Fetterman is possibly just, I don't know, maybe benefiting from this podcast? Maybe John Fetterman's going to get a new masseuse and a personal chef and a car or 2. I don't know. Maybe he'll get a new apartment. I don't know what he's going to get, but it's going to be a lot more than is needed for that podcast. I don't know much about this BitKey thing. It looks kind of neat, and for $100, it's a relatively affordable hardware wallet, but I don't really know how it works. I'm tempted to get one to see how it works. I like the look of it. I like the idea. It's sleek. It doesn't have a screen, which some people complained about. A number of people have, but I like the idea. I mention this because one of my favorite minds in the Bitcoin space, one of the most privacy-focused, self-sovereign individuals, is speaking well of this. Who am I talking about? Matt Odell. He is speaking quite positively of the BitKey. I'm going to be playing this at 1.5 speed, so things might speed up a lot if you're already listening to this at an increased speed.
And to me, the BitKey is the ideal Charles Schwab model. Like if you can buy an ETF on Charles Schwab, like you can self-custody with BitKey. It's incredibly easy to use. The flow on mobile is incredibly slick. It like walks you through the whole process. The actual device like feels like you can hold $1 million in it. You know, it's like heavy. You know, they always talk about like Beats headphones. Yeah, like one of their innovations was they put weights in the headphones. Like the thing feels like a fucking rock. And it's mobile first. It's just very easy to use. It just does one thing, does it really well. And the recovery mechanism is crazy. Like they don't use seed phrases. It's collaborative custody. You can lose the device. You can lose the BitKey, you're good. You can lose the phone, you're good. You can lose the phone and the BitKey, and you're good. Which is fucking insane. Like you can literally try your best to lose your generational wealth, and you probably will still have it.
That's such a good line. You could try to lose your generational wealth, and you'll probably still have it. So I think it's a brilliant thing. And the more user-friendly that experience can be, hey, thumbs up to that. Absolutely big thumbs up to that. Kathy Wood raises Bitcoin price target from 1.5 to 3.8 million. I believe that is their 2030 price prediction. Quote, if institutional investors were to allocate a little more than 5% of their portfolios to Bitcoin, as we think they will over time, that alone would add 2.3 million to the projection. And finally, this is why you don't use a hot wallet. Do not store your keys on your computer. Just in, a vulnerability in Apple's M series chip may pose significant risk to cryptocurrency private keys. The flaw is unpatchable, since it is intrinsically tied to the micro-architectural design of the silicon itself. Basically, if you have your keys saved on your computer, there's a chance, I don't know how high it is, but there's a chance that they could be extracted from your computer. Take control of your Bitcoin. Do not keep your keys on your digital devices. That's it for me. See you next week.